Good day, Forest Hills, and thanks for joining us. I'm Kunga Lothan.
And I'm Isabella Pinkastov, bringing you our Spring 2021 remote show. This is our last show for the year. And yes, we are still remote, but that doesn't stop us. So what do we have up first, Kunga?
April into May was full of accomplishments. We are officially in the sixth marking period, and the year is almost over.
We want to celebrate and congratulate our Science Olympiad team. Our reporter caught up with the amazing team who made us all proud.
Yes, Isabella. They are the most successful non-specialized high school team in New York City. They advanced to the state finals where schools like Bronx Science or Brooklyn Tech usually dominate.
And they ranked 6th in NYC.
Hi everyone, this is Kayla Castellanos and I'm here to report to you about the amazing Olympiads team. Mr. Pedicini, thank you for being with us. Tell us again a little about what is the Olympiads competition.
Forest Hills has had a team for about 5 years now, and Science Olympiad is a competition where there's about 25 events in science and engineering.
What type of questions did they ask and how did you prepare?
Some students prepare for a lab portion and like an exam written portion, and then there's also events in engineering where you have to design maybe a basic like air-powered rocket or vehicle that goes a certain distance. And the day of the competition, students might do maybe 2 or 3 events.
How did the Olympiads competition work remotely? Did this make it more challenging?
Now that it's remote, it was a little different this year. But in general, students compete in like multiple events, kind of like in Olympics. So the greatest part about Olympiad is it brings together so many really great students that are just motivated to be part of science and engineering.
What strengths did you see in the team this year and how did they do?
We have like a great team. There's just so many great students at Forest Hills that wanted to be part of this. And we've been able to travel to different universities to compete. And, this year was just really a great performance. We moved on to states. It's the second year we advanced to states. And something that's really phenomenal about our team is that, Forest Hills is a zoned public high school. And we have so much talent here. And I think it shows in our competition because we're the only New York City zoned, like non-specialized school to make it to states this year.
I also caught up with some students on the team. Can you introduce yourself and what is your strength or specialty for this competition?
Hi, my name is Jordan and I'm a senior on the team. This year I studied for ornithology, which is the study of birds, and I also studied for water quality, which is a little bit of marine biology and analysis of aquatic scenarios.
Were you nervous competing or confident?
For Olympiad, your nervousness is cast away as you focus on getting a little more practice because it's much more important to focus on what's going to come up in a couple of hours rather than stressing over the whole day, like your events or tests.
What is the hardest part about being in the Olympiad?
I think the hardest part about Olympiad is dedicating time towards it. It's not something to be taken lightly or as a normal test since it's significantly harder and you'll definitely have to make some sacrifices.
What is your favorite part about it?
My favorite part would be competing and going to other schools and just seeing other students there. And basically, whenever we went there to any of these competitions that were out of the city, I would always be amazed at how many other kids made the same choice as I did to participate in this huge event, but also have different interpretations and techniques when it came to studying or preparing something for their event, whether they build something or they prepare a huge binder. And it would just be interesting to see how so many other people could come up with all these different methods, and it was really great to see all of that happening.
The main way we do it is that we recruit students out of different science classes. So, if a student's doing well in a science class or a math class, or they're interested in engineering or anything like that, we try to recruit students.
Thank you for making us proud, Olympiad team. This is Kayla Castellanos for Good Day Forest Hills. Back to you, Kunga and Isabella.
On the social studies scene, March saw Civics Week. We found out what that was all about.
Students from AP Government visited senior classes and taught their peers about civic engagement, why and how to register for voting, and explained ranked choice voting.
Let's hear what Ms. Sanchez and AP Government students had to say about that.
This is Joseph Abdallah getting a closer look at what Civics Week is all about. I was lucky enough to catch up with Ms. Sanchez, AP of Social Studies. Thank you for being with us, Ms. Sanchez.
Hi everybody, Ms. Sanchez here. I'm really glad that we got to celebrate Civics Week this year. We could not do it in school, but we did it remotely.
So, what is the purpose of Civics Week? Do we have one every year?
This is part of an initiative by New York City to help students think about civic engagement and understand how important their voices are in our system.
In your opinion, why is it important for Civics Week to be in the curriculum?
Too often, we think that young adults can't contribute, but we know as teachers, and you know, that your voices are loud and you have so much to contribute and share. Voting is one of our most basic rights and responsibilities in our system, and we hope that all who can will engage in the system in this way, or through the many different ways that you can get your voices heard and your viewpoints represented in our society.
During Civics Week, can you briefly remind us of all the events that were held, even though we are remote?
So in Civics Week, our teachers talked about civic engagement a little bit more. Some of our students participated in the poster contest and shared their opinions on what the next mayor should do. And students from our AP Government and We the People classes visited every senior class to talk about civic engagement and help students register to vote.
I also got to talk to the brave government students who led Civics Week.
Through our presentation, we were able to show our fellow students how to register to vote, the different ways that you can register to vote, as well as the importance of voting in America, especially as young voters.
Yeah, the information we gave students was where they can go to register to vote, the qualifications of voting, where they can go to vote, the dates of the upcoming elections, the primaries as well as the mayoral, and the last dates to postmark your absentee ballots.
Was it a successful vote registration drive?
Thank you so much for asking about our voter registration drive that we held back in March. Forest Hills has been holding a spring voter registration drive for the last 6 years or so. Historically, 18 to 25-year-olds across the nation are the least likely to show up to vote, so there has been a push and interest in making sure that before people graduate, they understand and remember the importance of voting, and we help them take the first step in order to vote, which is actually getting them registered to vote.
I do think that it was a successful voter registration drive because we were able to show virtually what we wanted to show, and we were able to engage with everyone.
I think the voter registration drive went pretty well, considering some students had already registered and many more were interested in doing it.
I thought that we had really open conversations, and we were also able to get our point across, so I do think that it was very successful.
Why are you glad to be a part of Civics Week?
I think it's really important to, understand the duties and responsibilities we have as American citizens.
I'm glad to be part of Civics Week because civic education is going to impact both our present and our future as Americans, and I just think that that's really important. And it's also really gratifying to know that I'm strengthening and sharing these ideas and that it'll have an impact.
What is your quick message?
One quick message that I would have for my peers about civics would definitely just be the importance of being able to vote, especially at our age with all the crazy things happening on both nationally and in the world, and also that no matter your age, your opinions will always matter.
I just want people to know that civics is really, really important because when you're engaged in the community affairs, you know what's going on, and it's always good to know because small decisions, no matter how small they are going to impact you in your neighborhoods.
The students did an excellent job teaching their peers, so we hope that you learned something, and we hope that you continue to realize that you are leaders. I hope to see you all in school soon. Bye.
Thank you, government students and Ms. Sanchez. This is Yosef Abdallah for Good Day saying, don't forget to register to vote and remember your civic duty.
Next up, news for seniors. We got an exclusive with Miss Grant telling us about what will hopefully happen with graduation this year. Here is Grant's graduation update.
Morning, Forest Hills. I'm Miss Grant, the senior advisor and history teacher. I just want to talk to the senior class of 2021. Hopefully, everybody in the senior class will have passed their classes and got rid of those NXs before June 21st. And then we'll start the distribution of caps and gowns. We have a lot of things going on. Things change daily, but we are having the in-person ceremony on June 28th. And you should check out the class of 2021's Google Classroom page for more information. The virtual ceremony, make sure that you have your slides submitted. We are working on that. We're going to have both the virtual and the in-person. The in-person will be at Citi Field. Now, we don't have the whole stadium rented out. We have a portion of the stadium, which is why space is limited. So we are working within the guidelines to see how many we can fit in. But right now it is 2 guests plus the graduate. And it'll be different because students won't be sitting together as a class. They will be sitting with their parents or family members that they brought to graduation in podding situations. But it will be live streamed for all your families and friends to watch it as you are getting your diploma. So there's a show that I have fallen in love with during the pandemic on Apple TV called Ted Lasso. But it has a lot of life lessons. And there are 2 things that I always remember from it. One is this idea of be a goldfish, that the goldfish is the happiest animal on earth because it has a 10-second memory. Sometimes we just have to be a goldfish. We just have to let things go and move forward so that we can bring more positive things to our life. And the other one, I'm going to let Ted Lasso explain himself with a quote from Walt Whitman.
You know, Rupert, guys have underestimated me my entire life. And for years, I never understood why. It used to really bother me. But then one day, I was driving my little boy to school, and I saw this quote by Walt Whitman. It was painted on the wall there. It said, "Be curious, not judgmental." I like that. So I get back in my car, and I'm driving to work, and all of a sudden, it hits me. All them fellas that used to belittle me, not a single one of them were curious.
So today's life lesson, be curious, not judgmental. Congratulations, class of 2021. I know you're going to do great things because you have overcome so many challenges in the last year and a half, that you are stronger than any other class before you.
And we also caught up with Mr. Giella and his staff for some words about the yearbook. This is it, seniors. The year is coming to a close. Can't wait to get that yearbook in our hands, but it was quite a feat making it.
Hello, this is Krista Kionis. I am here with Mr. Giella from our art department and the yearbook staff. Thank you for being with us.
I believe this is my 18th year doing the yearbook. 18 years, it went so fast. But that was a lot of work, those books, I'll tell you. And we always try to make a good yearbook for Forest Hills. But this year was unlike anything else, as you know.
Who was working on the yearbook this year as editor?
I chose Rocio Gongalves as the editor, and Catherine Combe and Natalia and Joyce and a bunch of others to help out. And they worked so hard this year. I mean, I didn't even think we could do it. I mean, at first I was worried. I said, how are we going to make a yearbook if we're not in the building?
Here's what the staff had to say.
I enjoyed working on the yearbook because I find it nice that we're able to create a book that we're able to look back on in the future. Being that the year 2021 is very special and unique.
Something that I enjoyed working on yearbook was seeing an idea in my head end up on a piece of paper.
What did you have to get done?
In my job specifically, I was an editor. So I asked for pictures on my social media for a specific page, and then I gathered all those photos and placed it on my page that I was in charge of.
So I would either write something down or draw a sketch. I would share it with someone in the yearbook team, and if it gained momentum, then I would continue to work on it. If there were edits, I would revise them.
Keep in mind that every single page and every single picture and everything had to be taken, assembled. The pages had to be designed on sophisticated publishing software.
Was it difficult to work on the yearbook being remote all year?
We were still able to meet up virtually and speak about the things that we needed to put in the yearbook and the things that we needed to work on.
One thing that I do think was really cool is that the fact that the yearbook website and the program we use called Jostint is online. So I feel like for me to learn that and become accustomed with it was easier.
My editors figured out how to acquire pictures. I mean, they got in touch with hundreds of kids and asked them to send in pictures. We got in touch with clubs.
I think that once you limit the amount of face-to-face interactions, that there can feel like there's a loss and that there's a loss of connection.
He had no idea how to do sports, and then our editor Natalia came up with an idea where we'll take the kids who were on teams last year, who are seniors now, ask them for a picture, and Photoshop them on a trophy base, so they become little trophies, and it worked.
What is the theme about this year? Can we get a peek at the cover?
The theme this year is called We're All in This Together.
This year was unlike any other year, and everybody felt the virus, and everybody was affected by it.
A lot of us feel so far apart from each other and so separate and isolated. I think it's so important to remember that we are such a strong community and that we are so together even if we are far apart.
We chose a cover artist who is an amazing artist, Juliet Mason. She was a student in my art history and cartooning classes, and I said, Juliet, come up with an idea. I always like to incorporate the school building in every single cover, and I said something with, bringing us together, showing that we're all in this situation together, and she came up with an incredible cover. You'll see it soon. I mean, we have a tradition to follow. I mean, our covers are always spectacular and always done by our students for the most part.
Do you have a message to the seniors this year as they receive the book in June?
Learn from it and make it, and let it make you stronger as you go through life, because you're going to experience other ups and downs, and build on the downs, and just remember we survived this, and we could survive a lot of things in life. If you see someone who worked on the book, let them know, thank them, or on social media, get in touch with them. Like I said, I'm very proud of everybody, and the fact that we put it together. I know it's not going to be perfect, because no book is perfect, but we did. I just want you to know we did the best we can do, and I hope you enjoy what we got.
I hope you guys enjoy the yearbook when you receive it.
Thank you, Mr. Giella and yearbook staff. You definitely made senior year a little more normal for us.
Up next is sports. Well, sports are back. Can you believe it? And here's how our teams are looking.
Students waited a long time to get back on the field. Go Rangers!
Hello, this is Sydney Sluick catching up with the athletic director of Forest Hills High School. Hello, Ms. Carell, and thank you for joining us. Now, why was it important to bring sports back?
I couldn't be happier that we have this opportunity to offer activities for our students at Forest Hills. Sports play an integral role in your education. You learn what it's like to be a teammate, what it's like to win gracefully and lose gracefully, and how to kind of rely on each other and all try to achieve a common goal.
What precautions are being made as we are still in pandemic mode?
We do have some precautions that we must follow according to our city and state health organizations. All students must wear a mask. All students must fill out the daily health survey, the screening. They must show that they filled that out upon arrival, and they must have their temperature taken. And let's not forget that sports provide an outlet for physical activity, physical fitness, movement, strengthening, conditioning, and also learning how to play together.
Well, as you can see, we are one step closer to normal sports. Go Rangers!
And I almost forgot, go Rangers! Yay! See? Rangers!
And now, here's what people are feeling and thinking 1 year later after COVID had closed everything down.
Thinking about this question, what did the pandemic teach me? And what I know for sure that it taught me is that nothing is impossible, right? If this has happened, nothing's impossible. So that makes me think, maybe UFOs are real. Maybe Takis are a really good breakfast food. My students seem to love them. Maybe the Mets can win the World Series, yeah. But then we have to take this idea and apply it to ourselves. Maybe I can run the marathon.
So it's a year later in the pandemic, and honestly, I feel like I am different as a person, and I have learned how to adapt to this new life, and I advise that, everybody remains positive.
Something that I'm looking forward to is being able to start college soon and starting that new chapter in my life, so that should be fun and exciting. I do believe that there is light at the end of the tunnel because of that saying, once you hit rock bottom, you can only go up. So this is like rock bottom. So we can only go up from here and only good things can happen from now on.
I tried, it was canceled, I can try again. Maybe I can forgive someone because they hurt my feelings. Maybe you can take this idea and apply it to your life. Maybe you can say, hey, maybe I can still pass that class.
I'm honestly looking forward for college and just seeing what this journey is going to bring me.
Right now, I am looking forward to going to college and getting to experience living in a different atmosphere with different people and making new friends, trying to open up to people more, and practicing my social skills.
Hi everyone, so yes, it's been over a year since the pandemic began, and I'm not gonna lie, it's been really tiring, but I think we all learned something new and something to be very appreciative of.
Maybe I can get a summer job. Maybe I can get into the college of my dreams.
I'm honestly really looking forward to summer. I'm looking forward to the nice weather, the beach with friends, late night drives into the cities, dinners, barbecues, ice cream.
So it's been like a year since COVID has happened, and I'm really looking forward to doing live shows because I do theater and I just really love performing in person.
Since the first shutdown, I learned that you are gonna face harsh realities.
As it's been a year since COVID shutdowns, I am looking forward to being able to do stuff in public. For example, I would want to go to parties again. I want to do barbecues and eat at public restaurants with my friends, and generally do things without restrictions because of COVID. I do believe that there is some light at the end of the tunnel because of the amount of vaccinations that have been given out. Just recently, they've been opening up vaccinations for people my age.
But on the bright side, I learned how to cook and how to be more productive, even though I'm not productive all the time, but it's something that I'm still very proud of. I look forward to learning more skills, but what I look forward to the most is for everything to go back to normal.
Whether it's getting a certain amount of money or renting a house or buying a house or getting a new car or getting into your dream school, I think that everyone is capable as long as they really try their hardest and put their mind to it.
Fortunately, we're finally coming to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's been over a year now, and now we're finally, everyone's getting vaccinated. I got my first shot.
Now that people are getting vaccinated, including myself, and things are reopening, that we can start to get back to some sort of normal. I know that remote learning has not been easy for the students, definitely not been easy for the teachers either. I can't wait to get back into the school building and to return back to the classroom.
I just want to be able to see my friends every day and be able to socialize with people who weren't really completely my bestest of friends, just acquaintances. I would love to just talk to more people.
But then the social interaction too, without having to worry of wearing masks, is another thing I'm really looking forward to. Just being able to hang out outside and not worrying too much about the virus and stuff.
Maybe I can at least look back on this time and say, I survived. I made it.
If there's anything I've learned, it's that it's okay not to care about what people think of you. As long as you know you're a good person and you're doing well in school, that's all you need.
Last year was horrific and it was unexpected. Everything just shut down, and since we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, which I'm assuming that by this year, September, we're going to go back to school, fully blended learning, and hopefully we'll get to interact more.
So things I'm looking forward to doing this summer: traveling, lots and lots of traveling. I can't wait to spend time with my son, go to zoos, go to museums, walk around the parks, and enjoy life again.
Personally, I learned that there's so many things that people don't talk about that they're going through, and you should really be careful how you treat people because they could be going through a lot and just not saying anything.
I think I've grown as a person, honestly, and yeah, I've grown and like I've wanted to take more care of myself physically and mentally.
So for me, this whole year has really highlighted those things in my own personal life. So that includes my family, my friendships, my health, my career that I'm so thankful for, and my well-being, my own personal well-being.
It's also taught me the value of self-reflection. You know, spending a lot of time on my own kind of forced me to look at myself and to learn a little bit more about myself and to appreciate the time that I have for myself.
And something I've learned about myself is I can stay home for an entire year.
I'm definitely very hopeful and excited for life after the quarantine. Have a great end of the year, everybody, and enjoy life again.
Thank you to all who shared their voice with us. There's definitely a light at the end of the tunnel as we inch back to normal.
One way of dealing is how Mr. Gelfand's poetry and song class dealt with emotions during this time.
Through poetry, here are some unique voices with their original poems.
At 6:20 p.m. on a cold winter night, leafless trees surround the sky. The darkness approaching may cause a fright as we wait for the spring to come by.
My window, where the sun shines through to wake me at morning, where the sun sets at evening and disappears at night. Different windows all around me tell a different story.
The city that never sleeps has finally slept. Lights are off, stores are closed. You are stuck in your room, sitting on the same chair for hours. But would you really see them the way you see them now through your window if you weren't stuck? Look once more.
Glass house. Outside this glass house remains an empty courtyard, sometimes a lifeguard, other times my graveyard. A tree outside stripped of life and annually revived, representing a life paralyzed and revised. Tightly bound gate frozen shut at times. A brighter life stripped by these confines. Step outside, throw the match, feel the freedom I am released from this trap. Glass shatters, feel the breeze, fogged up window no longer preventing ease. A lifeguard I always need, though graveyard's necessary it seems.
From my bedroom window I see dark and light green grass, trees and red plants. I see the nature that I usually ignored. There are tall apartment buildings filled with many people that have different goals and desires. When I look out, I see the potential to go out and do more.
This tiny fenced-in area, once full of life, now lays silent. Where did the creatures go? The birds have stretched their wings and gone south. The squirrels lay fast asleep up in the tree. I can't help but think of summer. Under this tree, life happens. The hot summers of when I seeked out the branches for shades, or the branch on the side that would hold my hula hoops.
Thank you for sharing. April was Poetry Month, so those projects were perfect, Mr. Gelfand.
Speaking of poetry, April 23rd was Shakespeare's 457th birthday. Our drama academy put on Macbeth at the end of April.
Oh yes, Kunga. It was Forest Hills' first ever Zoom play production on YouTube Live. They did 3 live shows to hundreds of audience members who clicked in.
Here are some highlights of these brave actors.
Double, double. Toil and trouble.
Fire burn.
And cauldron.
Bubble.
Brave Macbeth. Well, he deserves that name. Disdained fortune with his brandished steel carved out of his passage, so he faced the traitor Saint of Cawdor and his rebels, till he unseamed him from the knob to the chops, and fixed his head upon our battlements.
Oh, valiant cousin!
If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well done quickly. But this blow might be the be-all and the end-all. I have no spirit to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition.
Beast was it then that made you break this enterprise to me? When you just do it, then you were a man.
We should fail.
We fail? But screw your courage to the sticking place, and we'll not fail. How?
Servant! She's been startled! Servant!
Yes, my lord? Oh, woe is me, my lady.
Look to the lady.
Look how she rubs her hands to seem as if washing them.
Out, damned spot, out, I say! What need we fear? Who knows it, when none can call our power to account? Who would have thought the old man to have so much blood in him?
Let it come down, then!
Oh, treachery! Fly, good fleance! Fly, fly, fly! Thou mayst revenge! Oh!
Father!
Fly, fleance, fly! I die.
Fitted of a fenny snake in the cauldron boil and bake.
By the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes.
Oh, now, you secret and black and midnight hag, what is it you do?
A deed.
Without a name.
Macbeth shall never be vanquished, be until great Birnam Wood to high Dunsinane Hill shall come against him.
That will never be, yet my heart throbs.
Seek to know no more.
I will be satisfied. Answer me more. Let fall thy blade on vulnerable crests. I bear a charmed life, which must not yield to anyone of woman born.
Well, let angels tell thee, Macduff was from his mother's womb untimely ripped.
What?
Then yield thee, coward, to the rightful King Malcolm.
I will not yield. To kiss the ground before yon Malcolm's feet. Though Burnham would to come to Dunsinane, and though opposed by one of no one born, I will try the last. Lay on, Macduff.
Hail, King of Scotland.
Hail!
Hail!
Long live King Malcolm.
Fair is foul.
And foul is fair. Hover through the fog.
And
Filthy air.
Great job, actors. Theater is still alive. Can't wait to see what play they put on next year.
Our next story celebrates and praises our mock trial team.
Way to go, guys, representing our school remotely. Our reporter caught up with them.
What was your role in mock trial?
During the trial, I was the defense attorney for the expert witness, and I also did the closing argument.
I played a witness, and I would say as a witness, you really have to play your part. You have to internalize all the details and act as if you are them.
My role in the mock trial was to be a witness who was named Robbie McLaughlin.
I was an attorney doing both examinations of witnesses and the closing argument for my client.
For this year's mock trial, I was one of the attorneys.
As for my role on the team, I was a part of the plaintiff and defense teams. On the plaintiff side, I played the plaintiff witness herself, and on the defense team, I played the attorney for the defendant, the cross-examiner of the expert witness, and I did the opening statement.
How long did you prepare and how did you prepare?
I prepared for the competitions for about 3 to 4 months of constant and consistent meetings after school on Tuesday and Thursday, along with weekend meetings on Sunday. Those meetings were about 1 to 3 hours each.
Sometimes we even held extra group meetings for more practice. I would say a lot of our preparation came from reading the affidavits over and over again, as well as practicing like we were in a real competition during these meetings.
Our preparation for mock trial lasted for about 3 or 4 months.
And during those 3 to 4 months, we practiced on Google Meets and Zoom.
Reviewing the case, affidavit, and also all the rules in the packet. On Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, we would meet with Miss Carlson, alumni from the law program, or lawyers from Hughes, Hubbard, and Reed. When we weren't practicing with our whole team, we would practice individually or in separate groups.
We prepared for the competition by being broken off into groups depending on our roles in the trial and working with our teammates and coaches consistently to create and edit scripts until they were concise and essentially perfect.
For hours on end.
How did it feel doing mock trial remotely?
Doing mock trial remotely was really fun, but also a lot of work. Even though we weren't in person, we were still able to get our work done and work efficiently as a team.
I do think in remote we definitely got more time to prepare since we didn't have to see each other in person and we could just hop on a Zoom call and do what we gotta do. But the mock trial itself, definitely a little weird because we were just there in a Zoom room instead of an actual courtroom.
Doing mock trial remotely was definitely fun and a new way of learning for all of us, but like with everything, there are some problems. But it was nothing we couldn't overcome.
Because the whole trial was on Zoom, it was really hard to understand what people were saying sometimes, but it was also less stressful than performing in person in front of a judge.
Of course, I was originally looking forward to going to the courthouse and standing in front of a podium while actually seeing the witnesses and judge. However, now I only get to see everyone through a little Zoom window. It does sometimes feel a little bit disappointing. However, it is worth mentioning that every competition rounds that I've competed in, I always have my pajama pants on.
Overall, my experience in the mock trial was fairly nice since this was my first year joining the mock trial. But I would say at times it was overwhelming since you had to remember certain information that were very important to your criteria.
What skills did you have to show?
In doing mock trial, we have to demonstrate our skills in understanding the legal terms involved in our case and also the objections during witness examinations.
Attorneys were also made to learn objections by heart in order to be able to think on their feet during tough times. And being confident in all my responses to the judges and opposing attorneys, even if I'm not.
In mock trial, you not only can get caught off-handed by the judge, you will also never know what kind of response your opponent witnesses can give you.
Some of the most challenging skills that I learned were public speaking, incorporating what other opposing counsels have said into my argument, as well as internalizing the affidavit and rules.
Will you follow a career in law?
I know I definitely will pursue a career in law because I enjoy it so much, and I guess participating in the mock trial definitely opened my eyes to a new side of it.
I'm definitely going to be following a career in law, and I will be participating in mock trial over the next few years at Forest Hills.
Due to my experience in the law program, I plan on being a corporate lawyer when I grow up.
I would like to be a criminal defense lawyer in the near future.
And yeah, I would like to pursue a law career. I would like to.
What is your favorite part of doing mock trial?
Overall, I would say my favorite part of doing mock trial is the people you get to meet. The team is really just so helpful, and it's kind of like we're all a family. I would say that the people on the team this year were really ambitious and some of the most hardworking students I've ever met. Our law coaches and our alumni that help us with these practices, as well as our amazing teacher, Ms. Carlson, they're really just, I have no words to describe them. They're just amazing.
My favorite part of doing mock trial is the flexibility that this activity allows us to have. We can always get creative during the process, and it makes you feel even more like a real-life lawyer.
My favorite parts about mock trial were competing and making new friends. Even though we couldn't meet each other in person, I still built a strong connection with them.
I definitely think one of my favorite parts was working with one of my really good friends, and I definitely think through this mock trial, we grew a lot closer. We suffered together.
Before this year, many of us didn't really even know each other, but now we are basically all best friends together.
Thank you for representing us at the mock trial competition. We applaud you. This was Esmeralda Herrera with Good Day Forest Hills.
We also want to feature on this show two very special students who achieved great things at the STEM fair and are representing our school at the next level competition.
Behruz, Mahmudov, and Kayla Wang of our Carl Sagan program are talented researchers going to the Regeneron International Competition.
Here's what a reporter found out about this dynamic duo.
Hi, I'm Yasmin Straker for Good Day Forest Hills, and I caught up with the researchers who went at the NYC STEM Fair and who will be representing Forest Hills High School at the Regeneron Fair. Thanks for being with us. Please introduce yourselves and tell us what grade you're in and what program at school you're in.
My name is Behruz Mahmudov.
Hi, my name's Kayla Wang, and we're both juniors in the Carl Sagan Program Competitive Research Pathway.
In one sentence and in terms simple enough for me and our audience, how would you describe the purpose of your study?
We studied the effects of carbon dioxide and other environmental factors like drought and soil acidification, which are major aspects of climate change, on the size, density, and potential conductance index of stomata.
Can you tell our audience what stomata are?
Stomata are tiny openings or pores that enable gas and water exchange between the plant and the environment. And similar to how humans have lungs, stomata kind of act like the lungs of the plant. And with CO2 levels exceeding 900 parts per million by the end of the century, stomata performance is incredibly important because they regulate the intake of carbon dioxide, so overproduction will lead to a failure to adapt. And this means sudden losses of crops and livestock and decline in agricultural productivity.
Why is this study so important?
It's so critical that we recognize how intersectional the climate crisis is and how that can tie back into environmental justice and climate justice. And with sea levels rising, autotrophic species being in danger, we can tie this all back into human health, especially those of Black, brown, and low-income communities who are held at a disadvantage. And these communities are more vulnerable and likely to face toxic dumping and poor air quality. They lack the infrastructure to protect themselves from natural disasters. And when we really think about it, it's so essential to zoom in on the issue of how plants will adapt at the rate of which climate change is accelerating, but the crisis itself is also a social justice issue.
We basically created two different environments with predicted parts per million of carbon dioxide from the year 2075 and 2100. The predicted levels for 2075 were 750 parts per million, but for 2100 we expect that levels of carbon dioxide will be exceed 950 parts per million. Currently we're at 409 parts per million, so you can already tell that carbon dioxide levels are increasing exponentially. And we're doing this to understand how plants would respond to these conditions and hopefully predict how they would organize themselves in the future on a biological level.
What happened at the Terra NYC STEM Fair?
Our school actually sent 4 teams to compete at the Terra ISEF, which is the New York City Science and Engineering Fair. And that's pretty amazing, 4 teams, that's a great accomplishment. And all 8 of us competed against schools in New York City for different categories like robotics and human behavior. My partner Kayla and I competed in the plant physiology category, and we won.
What's the next step for you guys?
After we won the Terra Fair, we got an email from Regeneron, which in their email they described Regeneron as being one of the most prestigious science fairs for high school students in the country, and its name is well known among the scientific community. So we were very excited, and we were so shocked to see that we were going to be competing against kids our age from around the world, like Japan, India, and Australia.
So, how long have you been working on this research, and do you enjoy working together?
We've been working on this research since September of 2020, so the start of junior year. And although it seemed quite nerve-wracking and stressful in the process of putting our project together, we overcame obstacles one step at a time as a pretty good pair. And we definitely enjoy working together as our partnership and friendship alongside our interests align pretty well. So I think we both contribute strong ideas and build off of each other, and we both admire the shared drive and work ethic that makes doing work so compatible.
How was working together and competing remotely? Did this make the competition more difficult or easier for you?
It was definitely more of a challenge working together remotely than compared to being in a lab simultaneously. We had to meet up, obviously, with COVID safety guidelines to set up our experiment, and since it was done at my house, it was definitely more tedious having to visit.
And in terms of competing remotely, it has its pros and cons because it's less nerve-wracking than having a judge come up to you to grill you in person than over a computer screen. But traveling to these competitions would be such a fun and unique experience for sure.
What is the most difficult thing about working on this project?
I would say the most difficult part of this whole experiment was getting the equipment, right? The first problem that we ran into was finding a CO2 tank, which is like this very heavy gas tank filled with carbon dioxide. And most of the ones that we found were either extremely expensive or that they didn't allow 16-year-olds to use them. The other thing that we had trouble with was finding a pyrometer, which is like this tool that would give us a numerical value for things like conductance, humidity, transpiration, and reductance. But that equipment was also extremely expensive. I think it was around $3,000 for one.
What is your favorite part about working on this research team?
One thing that made this project really memorable was how we actually used the things that we learned in our classes, AP Bio and Chem, into our research, which made it much stronger, as well as learning more about our topic of study and having a platform to talk about such a pressing issue that we're both super passionate about. We also greatly appreciate the support that we got from our mentors, Mr. Wu and Ms. Scanlon.
Hello, I'm Mr. Wu, the competitive research teacher here at the fabulous Forest Hills High School. I would like to speak a little bit about Behruz and Kayla's big win here. In my opinion, what let Kayla and Behruz get so far in the competition is due to three major things. Their background research and foundation of knowledge that they've cultivated since the beginning of this project. Small shout out here to Ms. Scanlon for giving them great foundations in the intro course. 2, their dedication to their topic and its implications. And 3, the ability to remain curious and communicate with myself and to each other questions and issues that came up during the course of their project. To say I'm proud of them, it might be a bit of an understatement. Out of the hundreds of projects at New York City and Science Engineering Fair, and 2 rounds of judging, only 13 projects were chosen to move on to the international stage.
So when we received the email from Tara and ISEF saying that we were going to compete at internationals, we were extremely ecstatic to be able to go represent Forest Hills, and we're so immensely grateful to be receiving so much support from everyone, our teachers and family, and it's definitely a huge honor.
Will you be pursuing a career in STEM in the future? If so, what does that look like for you?
I most probably will. I do want to continue to do my activism, aligning my interests in poetry and the scientists, but I also want to continue, simultaneously studying to become a doctor.
In the future, I could see myself pursuing a major in psychology and tying that into communications or business. I'm not fully sure yet, but somewhere in STEM for sure.
Now, Kayla and Behruz particularly went above and beyond to gather resources and materials to conduct their project. They called up research labs, friends, family, friends of family, right? All to help procure equipment that they needed to run their project. And they needed some very specialized tools, right? Obviously, not everything went as planned, but they managed to make it work with their ingenuity and creativity. This was an extremely tough year to be doing schoolwork, let alone a full-blown high-level research project. But Behruz and Kayla have really shown their caliber to be that of the very highest. I think I can speak for the teachers of Forest Hills when I say that we're very proud of their accomplishments and achievements and look forward to anything they do in the future.
Thank you, congratulations, and good luck on your next step.
Wow, those two will be going far.
Also, in May, we want to highlight Mother's Day.
Oh yes, and from everyone here at Good Day, happy Mother's Day to all the moms, aunts, and special maternal figures in our life. We love you.
Wishing a happy Mother's Day to my mom, my best friend.
Hey Ma, I just wanted to wish you a happy Mother's Day. Te quiero hasta la luna y más allá.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom, and to all the moms. I would like to say thank you for everything you do for me and my sisters. We appreciate it, and I love you.
So I just want to thank my mother for raising me to be a beautiful young woman. And I want to thank her for teaching me how to be independent and not take any mess from anybody. So, happy Mother's Day.
My mother is
my best friend. She has been there for me for everything, since when I cry, when I laugh, and we always have a good time together.
Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers, grandmothers, sisters, aunts, and other women in our lives that love and care for us unconditionally. Words will never be enough to thank you for all that you do.
On Mother's Day, I want to thank my mother for everything she have done for me, for protecting me and for being the best mom in the world. I really love her and I appreciate that she have made me follow the good steps. Every second I share with her, it's the best day of my life. Thank you, Mother, for everything, and I love you.
Hey everybody, just wanted to give a quick shout out to all of the mothers out there. Want to wish you all a very happy Mother's Day, including my own mother, who has been my greatest advocate and cheerleader throughout life.
I would just love for everyone to just thank their mothers, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here today. And yeah, happy Mother's Day.
And happy Father's Day for June to all the dads out there.
Before we wrap it up, we want to leave you with some great musical numbers from some talented students.
We couldn't have our X Factor talent show this year across our big stage, but this is what could have been.
And we can't wait to see what these young talented people will give us on the actual stage next year.
I'm fired up and tired of the way that things have been, oh, ooh, the way that things have been, oh, ooh. Second thing, second, don't you tell me what you think that I can be. I'm the one at the sail, I'm the master of my sea, oh.
I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Kungo Loden.
And I'm Isabella Pinkasov saying good day, Forest Hills.
Good day, Forest Hills.